Angus Taylor, there's a lot of focus on the vaccine situation today. I think a lot of unnecessary hysteria and panic about this. Essentially, AstraZeneca's okay as a vaccine, but the advice to people under 50 has been updated.
Well, it has. There are alternatives. There's a Pfizer alternative, and Greg Hunt has just announced that he has will get access to another 20 million doses. And of course, it's the choices that make it possible for us to do this. But AstraZeneca for over 50s, I'm over 50. I'm looking forward to getting the AstraZeneca vaccine when I get the opportunity, Chris. I'm very comfortable that it's safe, and I'm certainly more than comfortable to take it myself. But look, the whole point of the approach we've taken here is to have a portfolio. This has been moving at a pace that vaccine development has never moved at before. Australia we've been rightly cautious about how we go about this, but by having a portfolio, we're able to make switches and changes as new information comes in, and that's exactly what we're doing here. There'll be more detail coming forward in the next little while, but the important point that Greg Hunt made today is we've been able to get access to another 20 million Pfizer doses. Yeah,
the important thing is to getting our elderly and our vulnerable vaccinated, and they're not affected by this AstraZeneca advice. How is that going? I mean, frankly, I don't give a damn whether I get a vaccine or not, but I do care very deeply about the elderly, especially in our aged care homes, getting vaccinated. Are we going to get all that done before winter?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, what this means is the over 50s can continue taking the AstraZeneca vaccine exactly as was happening. And of course, it's the over 50s or even over 60s who are the most vulnerable. And that's why it's absolutely appropriate that we keep moving at pace, and having the AstraZeneca vaccine focused on that demographic, I think is a good thing. We shouldn't be overly worried about it. I'm certainly not worried about the vaccine. I think the data on this is pretty clear. It's very safe. We can get on with it. It's important we get on with it. And we're able to use a range of different vaccines for different demographics, which is not uncommon, Chris. That's something we often do.
Indeed. Now let's get on to your portfolio. And energy and climate policy, as ever, creates all sort of a debate. You must have been fascinated by what happened with Malcolm Turnbull's appointment to that New South Wales Net Zero Emissions Board and the rescinding of that. It would have been strange for you to effectively be passed on, if not directly, some industry advice via Malcolm Turnbull.
Well, it hasn't happened. His appointment didn't last long. Look, I mean, I think the fact of the matter is that our voters, our supporters, have had a gutful of his interventions, and they made that very, very clear, and that went direct to the Minister and the Premier, and I know many state members, and that reaction was a very strong one, an important message that was sent, and an important message was received from Gladys and Matt Keane, and they made the right decision. And now we get on with the important job we have, which is affordable, reliable energy as we bring down our emissions.
Yeah, interesting.
That is crucial work.
Yeah, well, interesting that you say that's the right decision. That's an honest answer, and that's what we'd expect. So good on you for making that point. When it comes to appointments, though, we've got a new appointment to the Climate Change Authority, and that, of course, is Grant King, who's a significant businessman, but most prominent for his former role running Origin Energy. Is that going to create a lot of backlash from the Greenies, having an Origin Energy man running the Climate Change Authority?
Oh, well, I think no matter what appointment we make, Chris, you'll expect some kind of backlash from the climate activists and lovies. They're never going to like it. And I know already that a number of them are making comments. But look, the truth of the matter is Grant King is an extraordinary business leader, has had a very distinguished career, has interests as a board director across a range of different companies, including renewables, I should point out, Chris, as well as, of course, his experience in the gas sector. That's given him enormous breadth, and it's breadth and balance that matters in all of this. You know, everyone likes to make fuel types ideological. Well, 1 in 4 Australians have household solar on their roofs. Good on them. Coal and gas are going to continue to play a very, very important role in our grid for many years to come, and getting balance is absolutely crucial. No one understands that better in the Australian energy sector than Grant King, and I think he's absolutely the sort of person we want advising us and providing us with that important insight from his experience.
Yeah, interesting to talk about climate change. I've written about this for the Weekend Australian tomorrow. This time last year, everybody was talking about climate change in the wake of that horrible summer at the end of the drought and all the bushfires. Now, we don't downplay what a terrible bushfire season it was in 1920, especially for New South Wales. But this year, a very calm summer, a very safe bushfire season, a lot of floods, not so much talk about climate. Why not?
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask the people who were making all of that noise. This is a long-term strategic issue. We've got to be sensible about it. It's got to be balanced. Our focus is on technology, not taxes. Look at the height of the bushfires in January last year or early January last year when the fires were still raging. I wrote an article in The Australian pointing out that our focus was on technology, not taxes. Our focus is on a sensible approach to this to bring down emissions in a way which is not going to destroy jobs. It's got to be about innovation, not elimination, and technology, not taxes. That's how we do this. And, you know, some of the overreach and hysteria we've seen, including on the appointment of Grant King just today, is not helpful to anybody. It's not getting us anywhere. And, you know, absolutely central to our approach is making sure we keep that cost of energy down so that everyday Australians can make ends meet and jobs in manufacturing are protected in this country.
Do you think these issues are going to get a bit of a run in the New South Wales by-election in the state seat of Upper Hunter, where, of course, coal mining is a big part of the local economy?
Well, I think they're already getting a run, Chris. I mean, balance is what people in the Hunter Valley want. They recognise that a lot of Australians are putting solar on their roofs, and good on them, but they also want to have jobs in the coal industry. And Australia is one of the biggest coal exporters in the world. The biggest coal exporting port in the world, of course, is in Newcastle. And the Hunter Valley, of course, is behind that. And, you know, the comments we heard from Malcolm Turnbull on this, where he came as a city-dwelling former Prime Minister, of course, telling people in the Hunter Valley what sort of jobs they're allowed to have. Look, in my electorate in regional New South Wales, people don't like to be told what kind of job they can have. They don't like to be told what kind of car they've got to drive, and they don't like to be told what kind of life they've got to live. And so we've got to be respectful for the Hunter Valley and the important role it plays in our energy system and in our economy and in our community.
Yeah, well, he does have a fair spread up that way, but you're right, he does live down there in the city on the harbour. Thanks for joining us, Angus Taylor. I appreciate it.